guys, Revelation chapter 2, no, Revelation chapter 9, verses 2. Full explanation about Revelation. This is very long. It's like 11 minutes. In Hebrew, that's about Joshua. And explain it too after Revelation. Here goes.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling some pretty heavy source material. We're going into the book of Revelation.
That's right. Specifically, that intense shift, between the seven seals and the seven trumpets.
Yeah, chapters 8 and 9. We're talking about imagery that's, frankly, terrifying silent heavens, burning mountains, these demonic locust armies. It's a lot.
It really is.
But our goal here for you listening isn't just to list off the scary stuff. We want to unpack it, find the structure, see the divine control, and pull out the messages hidden in all that chaos.
Exactly. And when you look closely at Revelation 8 and 9, you see it's not random destruction at all. It's actually a very deliberate sequence.
A sequence.
Yeah, a sequence of warnings, of judgments, but with clear boundaries. It's less about instant obliteration and more about, waking people up. God's control is central here.
Okay, so let's start unpacking that, maybe with the strangest part right at the beginning. The Lamb opens the seventh seal.
Yeah.
We're expecting something huge, right?
Yeah.
The final act.
You are. The tension's been building through the first 6 seals.
And instead, silence. Heaven goes quiet for about half an hour? What is that about?
It's incredibly powerful, that silence. It's like the entire universe just stops, holding its breath.
Okay.
The sources suggest it's not just emptiness, but profound awe, reverence before the really serious part of God's plan kicks off. Think of Habakkuk 2:20. The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. It sets the stage, shows the majesty involved.
Right, it elevates the moment, and then the silence breaks. We shift gears. 7 angels get 7 trumpets.
And trumpets in scripture, they mean business, warning, war, God's presence, like at Mount Sinai.
But before a single trumpet blast, there's this other crucial scene. Something about prayer.
Yes. This is maybe the linchpin for this whole section. An angel steps forward, golden censer, lots of incense.
Okay.
And the text explicitly says this incense is the prayers of God's people. All the saints, they're crying out, for justice, for righteousness in a messed up world. And these prayers, they rise up to God.
So God hears the prayers for justice. And then what? Does he just acknowledge them?
He does much more. This is the astonishing part. The angel takes that same censer.
The one with the prayers mixed in.
Exactly. Fills it with fire from the altar where the prayers were offered, and then hurls it down to earth.
Whoa.
Yeah. The result, thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and earthquake. It shows God's judgment. His response to evil is directly connected to the prayers of his people asking for things to be made right.
So the prayers aren't just heard. They actually become the catalyst.
Yeah.
The fire that starts the judgment comes from the altar of prayer.
Precisely. It's a powerful link between divine action and human faithfulness. That realization kind of sets the stage for the trumpets themselves.
Okay, that is huge. Let's get into the trumpets then. The first 2 sound, and the sources say these are partial, like warnings.
That's right. They shake things up, but they don't destroy everything. Think of them as divine warning shots.
So, trumpet 1.
Revelation 8.7. Hail and fire, mixed with blood, thrown down, hits the earth.
Sounds like the plagues of Egypt a bit.
Very much so. God often repeats patterns. But notice the limit. 1/3 of the earth is burned up. 1/3 of the trees. All the green grass. It's specific. It's partial. God's showing his power over the land, but he's holding back.
Okay, 1/3. Then the second trumpet, this one hits the sea.
Yeah, something like a huge mountain all ablaze gets tossed into the ocean. Imagine seeing that.
Hard to picture. Cosmic scale disaster.
Absolutely. And the impact, again, very precise. 1/3 of the sea turns to blood.
Another Exodus echo, the Nile.
Exactly. And 1/3 of the sea creatures die. 1/3 of the ships are destroyed. Think about the economic chaos that follows. Trade, fishing, transport, devastated.
Wow. So land and sea both hit hard, but both with that crucial 1/3 limit.
It keeps emphasizing these are warnings. Severe, yes, but warnings. God is showing that the stability you take for granted rests entirely in his hands. He's patient, but that patience has limits.
He's giving humanity a chance to see what's happening and turn back.
Before the truly final judgment arrives.
Yes. Now, the source material does something interesting here. It skips detailing trumpets 3 and 4 for now, and jumps right to the fifth trumpet. Why the jump? What changes with number 5?
That's a really important structural shift. The first few trumpets, they were external, right? Physical world stuff, land, sea, maybe waters and sky with 3 and 4.
Right.
But with the fifth trumpet, the focus shifts dramatically. It moves from the physical to the spiritual, from ecological disaster to, well, something much more internal, demonic.
And this is where the abyss, the bottomless pit, gets opened up.
Correct. Revelation 9, verse 2. It's described as a prison for certain demonic beings. And when it's opened, smoke just pours out, like smoke from a gigantic furnace.
And it darkens the sun in the air.
Yeah, and that darkness isn't just physical. The smoke symbolizes like spiritual corruption, deception, chaos clouding everything. People can't see clearly, spiritually speaking.
So it creates this atmosphere of confusion and fear.
Exactly. A world plunged into spiritual twilight. And out of that smoke come the locusts.
Right, the infamous locusts. But let's be super clear, these are not actual insects, are they?
No, absolutely not. The description makes that obvious later. These are symbolic, demonic forces, maybe fallen spirits, let loose for a specific purpose.
Okay, and again, control is key here, right? They aren't just running wild.
Not at all. God's limits are incredibly strict. They're explicitly told not to harm the grass or trees or any green thing, unlike normal locusts.
So what is their mission then?
It's highly specific, psychological and spiritual torment.
And their target, also specific.
Chillingly so. Only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads.
Okay, let's define that. The seal of God. What does that represent? Is it a literal mark?
No, it's symbolic. It signifies divine ownership, protection, belonging to God. It's the countersign to the mark of the beast later on. It marks out those loyal to Christ.
So these demonic forces can only attack those who have essentially rejected God's protection.
That's the implication. If you don't have the seal, you're vulnerable to this specific torment. Believers are explicitly protected from this plague.
And the torment itself. It's bad, but it also has limits.
Yes, 2 crucial limits. First, they cannot kill. Their power is restricted to causing agony. Second, there's a time limit. 5 months.
5 months of agony likened to a scorpion sting.
Right. Think intense, piercing pain, but spiritual, psychological, deep anguish, despair, maybe a torment of conscience, hopelessness.
And it's so bad, the text says people will want to die but won't be able to.
That's the ultimate horror described in verse 6. Seeking death as an escape, but finding even that door closed. It shows the depth of the spiritual despair they inflict.
It just sounds unbelievably bleak. If the point is a wake-up call, why make it so agonizing?
Well, perhaps because the hardness of the human heart by this stage requires something extreme. It's a final, desperate measure, you could say. The limit's no killing. The 5 months suggest it's still intended as a severe mercy, a last chance to confront the reality of life without God before something even worse. God is still setting boundaries even on the evil he permits.
Wow. Okay. Let's look closer at these locust creatures. The description in Revelation 9.710 is wild. They're like these composite monsters.
It's designed for maximum psychological terror, definitely. Let's break it down. They look like horses prepared for battle.
Okay, so strength, speed, aggression, a war machine.
Right, and on their heads are something like crowns of gold.
False authority, pretending to be royalty.
Could be. Suggests the sort of organized, perhaps intelligent evil with pretensions to power, and their faces were like human faces.
Cunning. Intelligence behind the assault, not just brute force.
Seems likely. Then you get this jarring mix, hair like women's hair.
Suggesting maybe seduction, allure, something deceptive.
Potentially, but right after that, teeth like lion's teeth.
So, beauty or seduction hiding terrifying ferocity. Don't be fooled by the appearance.
Exactly. They have breastplates, like breastplates of iron, suggesting they're heavily armored, hard to stop, invulnerable almost.
And the clincher, their tails, like scorpions with stings.
Right, confirming their primary function, inflicting that agonizing, non-lethal torment we talked about, spiritual venom.
This isn't just a horde, it's a described, organized army. 11 says they have a king.
Yes. They're not leaderless. Their king is the angel of the abyss.
And he gets named Abaddon.
Apollyon,
Abaddon in Hebrew, Apollyon in Greek. Both names mean the same thing.
which is
The destroyer.
the destroyer. Wow, that's blunt.
It is. He embodies destruction. But, and this is crucial for you, the listener, to grasp even he, the king of the abyss, the destroyer himself, doesn't operate on his own authority.
He's released. He is released. His power is permitted, and it's temporary. Remember back in Revelation 1, Jesus holds the keys of death and Hades, holds the keys to the abyss. The destroyer only gets his leash slipped for a specific purpose, for a limited time under God's sovereign control.
Okay, so pulling all this together, what's the big takeaway for someone trying to make sense of these terrifying chapters?
I think the main thing is seeing the order within the chaos. It looks like utter pandemonium, but this deep dive shows it's structured, it's controlled, it's purposeful. Even the most horrific events have divine boundaries.
Right, it's not just random destruction. There's a point to it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that point seems to be a final escalating call to repent, to recognize who's really in charge. For those who reject God, the consequences are terrifyingly depicted. But for believers,
The seal of God.
yeah,
Protection.
yes, the promise is there. The seal means you're protected from this specific demonic torment. It's a powerful affirmation that even when the world seems overwhelmed by darkness and forces like the destroyer are let loose, they cannot touch those who belong to Christ. His authority is absolute.
So understanding this structure isn't just about decoding prophecy. It's about affirming Jesus' ultimate power over everything, even over evil, even over the destroyer.
That's the core message, I think.
All right, let's leave you with a final thought to wrestle with. We've seen these torments. The scorpion's sting, wanting death but not finding it, are limited. They're horrific, but they're not the final end, and they're explicitly designed not to kill.
Right, the emphasis on limits is constant.
So if the purpose, even in this intense judgment, seems to be one last drastic call for repentance, what does that incredible restraint, that mercy within the judgment, tell you about the fundamental nature of God, even when he's dealing with profound evil?
Something to think about.
Chew on that until our next deep dive.
Okay, Joshua next.
Welcome to the deep dive. You hand us the sources, we hand you the distilled insight.
And today, we are immersing ourselves in the incredible life of Joshua.
Right, the successor to Moses. It's a story about leadership, but maybe not in the way we always think about it. It's this huge transition, isn't it? From like desert apprentice to
So it's commander of the promised land.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that transition is key. Our source material really paints Joshua, son of Nun, from Ephraim, as this case study in obedient leadership.
a warrior, yes, but not just a warrior.
Exactly. The texts are pretty clear. His successes weren't just, good luck or military genius alone. They were framed as the fulfillment of a divine mandate.
And that spiritual core, it's even sort of baked right into his name.
Absolutely. His Hebrew name, Yehoshua, it means the Lord is salvation. And his life really seems to mirror that. His effectiveness, even leading armies, it's shown as coming from relying on something bigger than just his own plans.
Okay, so let's dig into that leadership model. Our goal for this deep dive: trace Joshua's path, quickly map his journey from assistant to leader, and pull out maybe 5 core lessons from his legacy.
Sounds good. We first meet him pretty early in the narrative. Not as a general yet, but as Moses' young assistant. And he gets thrown into the fray almost right away.
Against the Amalekites, right?
Yes. And that first battle, it's described early on, and it kind of gives us foundational insight into how he'd later lead. Joshua's down there leading the fight.
But the story makes a point that the battle only turns when Moses is up on the hill, holding up the staff of God, his hands raised.
Which must have been a powerful lesson for young Joshua. It's like effective leadership means the spiritual command center, that act of faith, is actually more critical than the frontline tactics.
So victory wasn't just about strength or strategy.
No, it was shown as coming through, let's call it divine alignment, a very early, very stark lesson.
And his training, his mentorship under Moses, it continued in some pretty unique settings. He wasn't just fetching things.
Not at all. He was a trusted servant, even went partway up Mount Sinai with Moses. Moses received the law.
Wow. That kind of proximity, the texts call it proximity to holiness, that had to shape him profoundly for what was coming.
It absolutely shaped him. But maybe the single biggest test of his character, the real defining moment early on, was that mission of the 12 spies.
Oh, yes. Numbers 13 and 14. This feels critical.
It really was. It basically determined who truly believed God's promise versus who just gave in to fear.
Okay, set the scene. Moses sends 12 leaders, one from each tribe, to scout out Canaan. They're gone 40 days.
They come back, and 10 of them deliver this report that's just dripping with fear. Giants, massive fortified cities, basically saying, we can't do this.
And this report causes mass panic.
Total panic. The people are ready to turn back to Egypt.
Yeah.
Then you have Joshua and Caleb. They stand up against this tidal wave of fear, even though the crowd is furious, threatening them.
They saw the same things, the giants, the cities.
Yes, they acknowledged the challenges, but they refused to amplify the fear. Instead, they tried to shift the focus entirely.
Back to the promise. Like, yes, it's tough, but look at what God promised.
Exactly that. They gave this powerful counter report. The text quotes them saying, "The land we pass through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us. Do not fear the people of the land, for the Lord is with us."
Imagine the courage that took. Standing against everyone, literally risking being stoned just based on belief in that promise over the scary reality right in front of them.
And that belief had huge long-term consequences.
Yeah.
The narrative really emphasizes this. Because of that unwavering faith, only Joshua and Caleb out of that entire generation would actually live to enter the promised land.
Wow, that's quite the payoff for choosing faith over fear.
It really frames the rest of his story.
So fast forward, Moses dies. Joshua has to step into these impossibly large shoes. He's got this nation, they've been wandering, now he has to lead them into conquest. What's the core instruction he gets?
The divine mandate he receives, it really becomes the theme for his entire leadership. You probably know the verse. "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go."
That's powerful. It sort of shifts the burden, right? His authority isn't coming from his own strength or resume.
Exactly. It's explicitly tied to his obedience to this command. He wasn't leading by sheer force of personality or, personal ambition. It was trust in the divine word.
And he kept reminding the people of that too.
Constantly. He tied their success directly to following God's law, to meditate on the book of the law day and night. His authority stemmed from that adherence, which gave him a solid moral and practical foundation.
Okay, so he has this mandate. How is it tested first?
Right away, with his first big miracle as leader, crossing the Jordan River.
Ah, yes. Another water crossing moment.
It had to happen practically, but it was loaded with spiritual significance. God stops the Jordan's flow during flood season, no less so they can cross on dry ground. It's a deliberate echo of Moses in the Red Sea.
A sign that God's support hadn't died with Moses.
Precisely. And there's that amazing detail. The waters part exactly when the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant step into the river.
So it wasn't Joshua shouting commands.
No, it was the presence of God, symbolized by the Ark, leading the way. It was a powerful confirmation for the people, affirming Joshua's role and showing God's presence precedes the breakthrough.
Okay, that confidence boost must have been crucial for what came next. Jericho. Probably the most famous story associated with him.
Absolutely. And the Battle of Jericho perfectly illustrates that theme of obedience trumping human logic.
Because the strategy is, well, bizarre from a military standpoint.
Completely bizarre.
Yeah.
March around a heavily fortified city once a day for 6 days, then 7 times on the 7th day, and then just shout. Any military strategist would laugh you out of the room.
But that's the whole point the text seems to be making, isn't it?
Exactly. The walls didn't fall because of siege engines or brilliant tactics. They fell, according to the narrative, purely through obedience and faith in a plan that made zero human sense.
So true strength isn't necessarily military might.
It's shown as trusting God's strategy, even when it contradicts everything you think you know.
And this kind of approach, this divine alignment, it characterized his whole military campaign, right? He led successful conquests against some pretty powerful groups.
Yes, Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites. He unified the tribes and took possession of much of the promised land. A very successful campaign by any measure.
But the sources say he never really took the credit himself.
That's one of his most consistent traits in the text. He always redirects the glory. Every victory is framed as the Lord fulfilling his promise to Abraham. His legacy wasn't just about acquiring land. It was about the unity and stability he fostered through that kind of humble, God-focused leadership.
Which brings us towards the end of his life. He
Yeah.
settled the land, done his job. What's his final act?
His farewell address, it's detailed near the end of the book. He gathers all of Israel, he's an old man now, and gives them this final message.
What's the gist?
He reminds them how God fought for them, gave them the land, everything they had. He recounts their history, but then he issues this powerful, direct challenge. It's the core of his legacy, really.
This is the famous line, isn't it?
It is. He says, "Choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord."
Wow. Straightforward.
It's the ultimate declaration of unwavering commitment. After everything, all the battles, all the miracles, it boils down to that personal, daily choice. His greatest feat wasn't Jericho. It was staying faithful right to the end.
Okay, so let's try and distill this. If we look back at everything we've covered from the sources, what are the main takeaways? Maybe 5 key lessons.
Yeah, I think we can pull out 5 core lessons pretty clearly from his journey.
Okay, first up has to be what he learned with Caleb, right? Faith over fear. Trust the promise even when the giants look unbeatable.
Definitely. And second, the big lesson from Jericho. Obedience brings victory. Real success comes from following the given instructions, not just relying on our own clever plans.
Makes sense. Third,
God keeps his promises. The text makes a point of saying, I think this is Joshua 21.45, that every good promise God made to Israel was fulfilled. Not one failed. It underlines that divine reliability.
reliability. Got it. Fourth,
Leadership through service. Joshua's whole life modeled this. True leaders serve God, they serve the people. They're not in it for personal power or glory.
and the fifth, wrapping it all up.
Has to be that final challenge. A legacy of faith, or maybe the daily choice. His life demands that we each decide consciously who or what we're going to serve every day.
Faith, obedience, promises kept, service, choice. That's a pretty potent combination.
It really is. Joshua's story becomes this sort of template for leading through tough transitions, where success isn't guaranteed by the leader's perfection, but by their courage and reliance on that divine guidance.
So, thinking about all this, what does it mean for you listening right now? We've gone from Joshua as the apprentice to the commander who fulfilled this huge promise. And that core message he received, be strong and courageous, it doesn't feel like just ancient history.
Not at all. It feels like encouragement that's still relevant, whatever challenges or transitions you might be facing.
Which leads to a final thought.
Yeah, the ancient texts talk about Joshua overcoming literal, physical walls at Jericho. It makes you think, if we see our modern obstacles, self-doubt, career hurdles, maybe just the sheer noise of information overload, if we see those as our walls,
Then what's our equivalent of choosing faith and obedience over just relying on our unlimited strategies to get past them?
exactly, what does that look like for us today?
That is a powerful question to reflect on. A great challenge to end with. We hope this deep dive into Joshua's story gives you maybe a bit more courage for your own journey. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Okay, then have a next good afternoon. And I will pray for you, you too, family. Jesus always love you. He always protect you 24/7. He watching you and protecting you. Okay, I will pray for you guys every day, every night. I love you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe, and comment. God bless you. Love you guys.